Previously on Handbook for Mortals. Look at me! I totally got a grasp on this unpredictable chaos magic for the noble sake of entertaining the crowd. Ooh! JK! Guess I don't! Who could have seen this coming? Certainly not me! Bleh. So, I'm Sherry's father, and she joined our troop knowing this. Our secret relationship has always been purely familial. Huh? Mac was more than puzzled about what he could do or why Charles had chosen the word needed, but considering he was determined to go regardless, there didn't seem to be a need to argue. Yo, girl, we could have used at least one comma there. First sentence in and I've already dinged something. It may have been many months, but we are so back! With some paperwork, medical supply arrangements, free transport in the Wee Woo Mobile, and a private jet ride later, the party lands in Woodbury, a small town near Sherry's even smaller home village of Centertown. Woodbury's airport is described as tiny, with one runway and an office. Before we move on, I want to take a spare moment to discuss the second paragraph. This video series is old enough to enroll in primary school, so I can't remember if I've ever dissected Saren's style of frenetic idea hopping, and I don't want to go back and check. Oh man, I'm still so jammed to be back in this hell pit. Yeehaw! Okay. The first sentence tells us of Woodbury's size in relation to Centertown, and that it has its own tiny airport. But f*** that. Now Dela is here in her SUV to pick the party up. Then we jump back to describing the airport with its one runway and single tiny office, capped off with a punctuation typo. That or it's a run-on sentence and Dela is actually among the divine. But that as well. Hop back to Dela deciding that inconspicuousness when maneuvering Sherry is the best approach. The townsfolk are nosy gossipers after all, especially when it comes to Sherry and Dela. We recall that misplaced SUV pickup sentence as Sherry nostalgically reminisces the times she teased how her mom's soccer mom-mobile clashed with her bohemian aesthetic, even though that car is the most normal thing about her. What a fun little roller coaster packed into 5 sentences! Honestly, just rearrange them to solve this specific issue. Won't fix everything though, cause now we jump straight to the house! As Dela tucks Sherry into her old bed, Mac and Charles stand in the living room like awkward wallflowers at a middle school dance. Mac examines the family photos where Dela appears to be ageless in all of them. What does that mean? Does she have a natural baby face for a middle-aged woman, or does she pass as Sherry's slightly older sister? No time to ponder that, as Dela enters the room and cuts to the chase. She's not one for preliminary small talk after all. So he knows? She asked, pointing at Mac and talking to him as if he wasn't able to hear her, even though he was standing 3 feet from her. What a delicious mouthful that sentence is. That I'm her father? He does. Charles may struggle socially with others, he can still decipher whatever Dela implies. Even though she was the one who could actually read minds? Excuse me, this is news. I vaguely remember that she has a strong sense of intuition, but this is a cheat code. And one that's nonchalantly dropped at the 74% mark, too. Like, we could have found out about this in either the prologue, the tarot reading with April from chapter 8, or during the phone call from last chapter. A Quarter Thorns and Roses does this sort of surprise new info drop as well, and it drives me up a wall. The next few sentences are another breed of stupid. Charles always had an understanding of what Dela meant. The next sentence elaborates. He was pretty sure he knew what she was referring to when she asked that when he knows question, even though there were several other things she could have been talking about. But on the other hand, he was a tad rusty interrupting Dela, though he tried. Well, thank God we have hindsight Master Sherry here to ensure that nothing can get theoretically misconstrued. Also, interrupting? Does she mean interpreting? Either way, girl, delete this redundant gobbledygook. All you need is Charles's dialogue and maybe a little nervous action like a fidget or shifty eyes to show the same result. Anyway, he stands hesitant before his one true love who got away, The only person who can make him feel such an emotion. His anxiety ranges from awe over her magical prowess to just overall adoration. He gets real squirmy as Dela stands in a prolonged contemplative silence. She finally chides him for finally admitting that to someone, even though she has been just as secretive over the matter. Charles rebukes her, saying she is mostly at fault for that, my dear. Real mature there, buddy. According to Sherry, her mother would normally have a brash reaction to such a comment. Even though every time we've seen her, she's been rather well collected. Also, what's with the italics? Additional emphasis? Everything is already in Sherry's point of view. Through her limited visual memory sifting capabilities, she can only guess that Dela agrees with him, that maybe she realizes all that she has robbed from Sherry by keeping Charles away. Methinks there is some projection afoot. The assumptions continue. Dela ultimately realizes how hard it was for her to go through childhood without a father, and now maybe she was finally seeing that it hadn't been easy on him either. I mean, I guess? To recap, Sherry vaguely, very left up to interpretation. She vaguely mentioned her father's existence once, and the only scene between them we were allowed to witness is the embrace to kiss fake out misunderstanding from chapter 14. Then again, we got that second Freudian red herring when she conjured a younger lookalike to kiss her during the finale. So Sherry may actually be correct here. Okay. Daddy issues can manifest in different forms. Charles and Dela make shy, oogly eyes at each other until Mac finally reminds him of his presence. He still has no idea what's going on and why he's in f***ass Tennessee. But he's still guilt-stricken and asks Dela if he may go sit with Sherry. Dela's like, yeah, sure. Anything to get the awkward third wheel out of the scene. Time may be of the essence, but we must focus on the reunion and reconciliation of Sherry's parents. In the span of a couple chonky sentences, Dela admires how Charles has remained handsome through the years. His eyes still twinkle despite his current pain and sadness. He declares how she is Sherry's only hope, and a color commentator Sherry agrees. But Dela isn't as confident since many hours have already passed. He reassures her with this banger of a paragraph. Deli, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let her do the show. It's my fault. Mom softened as he called her Deli, the name he had called her when they were both younger. It sounds like deli, as in sandwiches, which I guess Charles would claim was a joke about his two favorite things, my mother and submarine sandwiches. I had to admit that it was cute the way he said it, even if it reminded me instantly of corned beef and Dr. Brown's cherry soda. What? That is so random. Why corned beef and that specific brand of soda? I can't even get hung up on that yet. Okay. To take it from the top. How else would I have pronounced deli? Deli? Del-I? Del-Y? And considering the type of person Charles becomes, I figured he was too posh and highbrow for submarine sandwiches. And again, with the italics, yes, Sherry's watching this in hindsight, but she's still actively commentating in real time. I don't get the need to categorize her thoughts like this. Even the context of that sentence is borked. It reads like it wants to invoke nostalgia, but I don't think the connection is complete. There's no childhood first love for Sherry to be nostalgic over. She could have at least grasped her straws and plugged Mac and or Jackson in there. Unless she was in love with corned beef or cherry soda? Oh, those poor mortal boys couldn't see beyond those magical pheromones to really capture her heart. Anyway, it's not your fault, Charles. Sherry has never taken no for an answer. Ain't that the truth? Charles interprets this mild banter as an opportunity to flirt with Dela, but she shuts that down. No, Charlie. It was a soft no, cushioned by a past filled with affection. Oh, f*** you, that's a good line. Charles responds quickly. But Deli, our daughter has become a beautiful young woman. Not understanding what the no was meant to imply, His words were quick and defensive. A good line, now sullied by an awkward attempt at comedy. He really is rusty at interrupting her. This just makes me question how he's been able to pull in so many babes, though I can see how he has inevitably fumbled them. Honestly, the rest of this exchange is a hoot. Dela has to explain her no to this fool. He may somehow be quite the irresistible charmer, but his words won't work this time. We are all only here for Sherry's sake. She attests that her mother is very strong-willed, not one to readily change her mind. Yeah, okay. We'll see how long that lasts. Her wall already has cracks from their eye-oogling. Meanwhile, the simp crumbles at her resistance. He can't last an hour before declaring his love for her. Pathetic. And again with the italics. Stop it! Dela stands her ground. She's got no time for Charles's ill-timed simpery. Their daughter is still dying for destiny's sake. But Dela tries to maintain her strong will as it further cracks from a wrecking ball of emotions. She stomps off to the kitchen under the guise of gathering more materials so she wouldn't shatter in front of him. Alrighty, looks like we can clock the strength of that strong will at 2 paragraphs. She melts into the floor, only to stand up again so she can lean dramatically against the wall and slide back down. Another case of wonky phrase placement. Say something like, she slides down the wall, melting onto the floor. Also, that beginning to cry reads weird in conjunction with sliding down to the floor. Oh yeah, it's 2025. I am still here to be pedantic as fuck. Even though Dela is overcome by a strong, fierce, and completely engulfing torrent of emotions, she's quiet enough to go unnoticed for a couple minutes. Eventually, Charles schleps in to give her a helping hand with those materials, but he instead finds Dela in a sobbing heap and drops down to embrace her. Then we get this banger of a sentence. Time means nothing to those who share such a strong bond. It was remarkable to me to see, even if through the window of memories, how they actually were in person, and the love that instantly flowed between the two of them despite how long they had been apart. Girl, these two have reunited after 25-ish years. Charles has tried and failed to flirt by complimenting their daughter's beauty, something only he can make weird. Dela has rejected him twice and has to explain why. You'll have to forgive me if I question the validity of this strong bond. And of course, I'd be remiss if I don't mention the awkward-ass wording of remarkable to me to see, and even if through in conjunction with the M-dashes. But yeah, that insta-love sure flowed alright. Charles comforts and reassures her, which leads to Dela returning the embrace and confessing her love too. Yup. So strong-willed, so unwilling to retract her rejections. Her wall of ice has completely melted in the span of a page. Dela did say he's an irresistible charmer. Maybe Sherry got her overpowering allure from him. Dela recollects herself, bounces back up, wipes the tears from her eyes, and spouts out a favorite one-liner. It's okay to fall apart for a moment, but then dust yourself off and get back on your feet and get back in the game. Is that another quote from the Monkees? What a long-winded, repetitive saying. High School Musical was way more concise. Dela has been rejuvenated by Charles's cheap honey words and remembers she actually does have preparations to make. Not to mention, she still has to tell Mac why he's needed here. Speak of the devil, he slips in at the mention of his name. Mac's been in suspense for long enough and wants an explanation. What can Dela do that medically trained professionals cannot? At this provocation, the tearful woman dries her eyes again and meets his forceful tone. She can do more than what the whippersnapper is capable of imagining. But first, she needs to explain how she met Charles to help cushion the magic is real revelation. Somehow. Hopefully, it's the abridged version. Sherry can wait, but apparently not that long. Supposedly. Mac takes a seat and wonders why he's entertaining Dela's whims, failing to understand the relevance and necessity of this incoming backstory. Me too, bro. Is she gonna reveal some genetic disease? And she's some kind of alternative herbalist? Oh, this feels like some wonky-ass dream. Dela and Charles sit as well, and there's only one conspicuous chair left open, which Sherry explains how that seat would be for her if she was conscious. Yeah, thanks, I managed to figure that one out myself. All the chairs don't match the table or each other, yet they somehow go together as a set. It reflects Dela and Sherry's taste in life, beautiful and unique. Girl, it's called eclectic design, and it's not as uncommon and exotic as you make it seem. Dela takes a deep breath. It all began at a touring circus in the 70s, and I'm already expecting a lot of drugs. Charles was an almost 21-year-old up-and-comer magician, the arrogant main attraction who thought he hung the moon, and Dela was a still barely 18-year-old card reader who could not stand him. End of chapter. Oh god, I can't get this out of my mind. Does Dela really pass as Sherry's sister? She mentioned something of the sort in chapter 0. Pictures of her when she was still my age look like they are of me. She still looks younger than her years though. So I figured Dela still aged to a degree, but now I fear it wasn't that much of one. Mix that with Charles's penchant for dating younger women, and how the misunderstanding with Sherry was wholly plausible.
That's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age. Yes, they.
Oof. Horrific thought aside, the entire chapter is the type of pure comedic nonsense I am here for. Genuinely, the funniest one to date. What with the abundance of typos, run-on sentence structure, frenetic idea hopping, the cognitive dissonance with Dela's strong will, and the general disregard of Sherry's supposed ticking clock in favor of her parents' backstory, this is how you do nostalgia serum. It's enough to bring tears to a girl's eye.